Think 1960s and 70s hallways. Brown bag oil stains, waxy milk cartons, bread still warm from the griddle. Before rules and labels took over, we survived on invention between two slices. Tonight, 25 school sandwiches you remember and almost never see now. How they fed us, why they faded, and the small cues that unlock it all. The purple jelly halo, the sizzling cheese edge, the Friday sloppy Joe line. Peanut butter and jelly. Open your lunchbox and you can still see it. White bread sealed to the crust with shiny lilac ring. PB&J ruled the 60s and 70s because it was bulletproof. Shelf-stable protein, preserved fruit, no fridge, no fuss. Moms had a system. Spread the peanut butter to the edges so there were no dry bites. Then center the jelly so it wouldn't bleed to the bag before recess. Grape if you were Northeast. Strawberry if Grandma canned. Apple butter in Appalachian fall. Later it ran into peanut allergy zones and added sugar alarms, plus the slow swing toward pre-packed snack kits. But the memory's stubborn. The wax paper going translucent, the sweet salt harmony that made chocolate milk taste bigger, the way a perfect diagonal cut turned a budget sandwich into 2 trophies. Say what you want about new rules. Nothing traveled a hallway quite like that purple halo. Bologna and yellow mustard. One perfect circle, laid down like a seal. Bologna covered the bread, so completely it felt like a small victory. In the 60s and 70s, this was lunch economy at work. A deli stack stretched across a week, 1 slice per kid, mustard for brightness. Maybe a second slice only on report card day. Some moms notched the edges to keep pan-fried bologna from cupping on Saturday. But for school it went in cold. The meat still cool from the fridge, the bun soft, the paper bag carrying that faint pepper garlic smell all morning. Over time processed, turned into a warning label, nitrate sodium counts. Turkey took the poster spot. Whole grain replaced the soft white stage it played on. Still, the details linger. A yellow smiley drawn in mustard, a square of American cheese trying to fit the round, and that first bite with a circle overruns a crust, like you finally got more than the bread promised. Tuna salad on white. You remember the quiet snap of celery before the pledge, even though the PA hum. Tuna salad was thrifty genius in the 60s and 70s. One can, a spoon of mayo, a pinch of relish, and suddenly 3 sandwiches appeared out of thin air. Church basement math scaled to lunchboxes. Cheap protein that didn't need the stove, just a bowl and a fork. Mom tamped it into the corners, so it wouldn't squish out, wrapped it in wax paper that went a little see-through by math class. Then fish smell became social suicide. Mercury headlines spooked parents, and cold hole rules made mayo feel like a dare. The memory, though, is stubborn. The pepper tickle, the tiny crunches, the triangle have stacked like playing cards. Sometimes there was a lettuce leaf to keep the bread dry, sometimes not, and you learned to eat over the bag, catching every drop like it was recess running down your wrist. Egg salad sandwich. Open the box and the room knows. Sulfur sweet, pepper bright, that soft, sunny mash waiting under the wax paper. Egg salad was weekend arithmetic in the 60s and 70s. Boil a dozen on Sunday, mash with mayo and a dab of mustard. Stretch it through Wednesday without touching the stove. Cheap, complete protein. A pinch of paprika, if mom was feeling fancy. A lettuce leaf to keep the bread from giving up. Later, odor turned into a hallway offense. Mayo drew side-eye from food safety charts, and lean/low odor replaced the posters by the gym. But the details won't leave. The fork tracks across the surface, the way the spread met the crust like spackle, the first bite that caved in softly and dotted your lip with gold. If you carried napkins, you were a diplomat. If you didn't, you learned to eat over the bag and keep moving before the bell. Ham and American cheese. Square cheese catching the light. Perfect corners, a soft click as the slices met. In the 60s and 70s, this was a default contract between budget and delight. Paper-thin deli ham fan to look like abundance. 1 orange square for show. Mayo to make it glide. It packed fast, traveled well, and stacked neatly beside a carton of chocolate milk. Sometimes Mom folded the ham into ribbons, so every bite felt like more than it was. Sometimes a lone iceberg ruffle kept the bread from going soggy. Then sodium counts marched onto bulletin boards. Processed slice became a cautionary phrase. Turkey and Swiss took the honor student slot. But the small truths stayed put. The plasticky zip of the cheese wrapper, the way rye felt too serious, while white felt like Saturday, and that first diagonal cut that made two triangles look like a real plan for the day. Grilled cheese. Listen, a faint sizzle from the cafeteria griddle, butter hitting hot steel, bread going gold in slow motion. Grilled cheese was a sure thing day. Commodity bread, commodity cheese, and a line that actually moved. Lunch ladies flipped by feel, stacking triangles in steam that fogged the serving glass. You learned the good tray lane by smell alone. It thrived because it was batchable, soothing, and invincible to picky eaters. Later, whole grain mandates roughened the bite. Speed ovens replaced flat tops. Tomato soup gave way to pre-packed fruit cups. But the memory is muscle. Edges just a shade darker. Stretch of cheese like a dare. The quiet joy of dunking when no one was looking. If you got the corner with the extra butter gloss, it felt like the universe had finally answered one small prayer between social studies and the bell. Sloppy Joe on a bun. You could smell it 3 classrooms away. The sweet, tangy steam that meant napkins were already in trouble. Sloppy Joe was cafeteria calculus in the 60s and 70s. Cheap ground beef stretched with tomato sauce, onions, a whisper of Worcestershire, ladled fast onto soft buns. Batchable, filling, kid-proof. Eventually sugar and sodium targets moved in, labor got tight, and the mess itself became a disciplinary memo. But the day it appeared, the line doubled, chatter rose, and someone always tried to balance an extra scoop under the bun like contraband. The details cling. Orange gloss on the tray, bun collapsing the second you commit, a smear on your knuckle you clean with the last bite. If you wore a white shirt, you learned to eat like a tightrope walker. If you didn't, you wore your victory all afternoon, one small badge of sauce that said Friday happened. Fish stick sandwich with tartar. Crunch first, then the soft give of the bun, and a lemony tartar snap. In the post-war rush to frozen convenience, fish sticks made perfect sense for schools. Freezer to oven, protein box checked, kids on board. By the 70s, 2 or 3 sticks laid like rails across white bread was a whole system. Quick service, tidy portions, a smell you could follow to the trays. Later processed seafood raised eyebrows. Ovens changed, bread toughened the whole grain seriousness. Ketchup and tartar gave way to sealed cups and stricter counts. Still, memory cheats in your favor. The breadcrumb crackle that echoed in a loud lunchroom, the way edges peeked past the crust like proud shoulders, the splash of tartar you spread just right with a wooden spoon. If you scored the end piece, extra crisp, you owned the table until the bell said otherwise. Pizza burger. It looked like Saturday smuggled into Tuesday. Patty under red sauce, a melted cheese, oregano drifting over the trays. The open-faced pizza burger solved a problem in the 70s. Give kids pizza flavor without a pizza oven. Commodity beef shaped into patties, a ladle of marinara, a quick broil or steam to gloss the top. Batchable, fast, impossible to refuse. Then sodium ceilings closed in. Scratch sauce gave way to packets and then to nothing, and the ovens that did the magic went quiet. But the picture persists, a square of bread going soft at the edges, tiny bubbles blistering the cheese, the first bite where meat, sauce, and spice met like a school dance that finally worked. If you got a corner with extra sauce slip, you drag your fork through it like signing your name, and for 7 minutes the world shrank to a warm red circle. Fluffernutter. Sticky silence, then giggles. The moment marshmallow cream glued your upper lip to your childhood. In the 60s and 70s, a Fluffernutter was legal rocket fuel. Peanut butter for staying power, marshmallow for liftoff, 0 cooking, 5 seconds to assemble before the bus. It rode lunchrooms on novelty and sugar, the kind of sandwich that made trading easy and afternoons faster. Later it ran into peanut bands and nutrition posters that counted teaspoons of added, and parents started checking labels like report cards. Still, the details hold. That pearly swirl sneaking from the cut, the way soft white bread domed over the filling like a secret, the faint squeak when your teeth met the mousse. Some kids drew initials in the fluff with a butter knife. Some added a lightning bolt of honey and called it science. Call it reckless now if you want. Back then, it was just recess with a wrapper. Turkey and cranberry. Day after magic in a paper bag. Slices of Sunday turkey stacked on white bread. Cranberry streaks like stained glass. Maybe a spoon of stuffing pressed in keep everything steady. In the 60s and 70s, this was household thrift on parade. Mom stretching the bird through the week, sending you to school with a holiday echo that didn't need reheating. Sweet tart cranberry glued the corners. Sage and celery whispered up when you peeled back the wax paper. It slipped away as deli turkey became year-round ordinary. Pre-packed snack kits replaced a ritual, and schedules traded leftovers for drive-thru. But the small details won't budge. Gravy gel that set overnight and melted by third period. The soft give of bread where cranberry pooled. The way a diagonal cut turned a plate of what's left into something that felt like a second celebration. Quiet, portable, and gone by recess. Liverwurst and mustard on rye. Bowl from the first breath, peppery, mineral. The deli's back counter sneaking into homeroom. In the 60s and 70s, it made sense. Inexpensive, iron-rich, spreadable meat you could portion thin and still taste for blocks. Immigrant groceries pushed it. Parents trusted it. Kids either bragged or hid it under a napkin. A stripe of sharp mustard. Maybe a paper-thin ring of onion. All parked on seeded rye that felt older and wiser than the cafeteria tray. It receded with a cholesterol scare, with awful turning into a dare instead of a Tuesday, with kid-friendly drifting toward milder and safer. Yet memory keeps the texture. The knife leaving swirls like with grain, caraway seeds catching embraces, mustard hot enough to clear the morning. If you traded at lunch, this was leverage. Grown-up flavor in a room full of sweetness. And for 10 quiet bites, you felt like you borrowed somebody's city. Pimento cheese sandwich. Orange freckles on soft white bread. Pimento cheese looked like it knew a secret. In the 60s and 70s, it rode south to north in lunchboxes and potlucks. Sharp cheddar grated fine. Mayo to smooth it. Diced pimentos for the wink. Maybe a dust of garlic or a splash of pickle juice if your aunt swore by it. Thrifty brilliance. No stove. Spreads thin. Feeds many. Later, cold chain worry met calorie math. Light yogurts and string cheese muscled in. And schools started counting mayonnaise the way they counted tardies. But the choreography stays. Mixing bowls skid on formica. A quick taste from the spoon for balance. A crisp dill chip smuggled under the lid for snap. Bite and the spread hits every corner. Tang, salt, and sweet heat in one hum. If your bread bowed a little from the chill, you knew it traveled well. And so did you. Olive loaf and mayo. Green polka dots staring back from every slice. Olive loaf made even a plain sandwich look busy. Mid-century deli logic fit school days perfectly. One inexpensive cold cut delivering meat, brine, and color. Mayo doing the glue work. White bread acting like a soft cloud. In the 60s and 70s, it felt slightly fancy. The kind of lunch you held up so friends could see the pattern. It lost ground when process turned into a red flag, sodium counts hit the morning shows, and clean labels took the stage. Still, the memory clicks on contact. That briny pop when olive coin met your teeth. The square of American cheese never quite aligning with the round. The mayo swipe keeping the olives from sliding out. You might have traded half for a cookie. You might have kept it. But for a few quiet bites, the cafeteria turned Mediterranean by the milk cooler. Deviled ham salad spread. A little red devil on the tin, and a lot of zing in the bite. In the 60s and 70s, this was pantry insurance. Grind what's left of Sunday's ham or pop a can. Fold in mayo and mustard, a shake of paprika, maybe a whisper hot sauce. Then spread thin so one bowl made lunches till midweek. It tasted grown-up, smoky, a little sharp, the kind of sandwich that made you sit straighter. Later, labels got longer than ingredients, sodium counts climbed the morning shows, and mystery meat joke stuck. But the motions remain. The key clink as you rolled and lid back, the spoon leaving tidy furrows, a dusting of celery salt because Dad said that's the ticket. Packed on white or rye, corners sealed, it traveled like a promise. If a pickled chip slipped under the lid before the bell, you had leverage for any trade on the table. Bologna salad spread. Pink confetti in a bowl. Bologna run through the hand-crank grinder with relish sparkle and a cough of onion. Families in the 60s and 70s knew this math. One chub becomes a week of sandwiches. Smooth enough for little kids. bold enough for big appetites. Mayo tied it together. Sweet relish threw a party. A chopped hard-boiled egg showed up when the fridge allowed. It waned as process turned into a lecture. Cold hold rules tightened, and deli turkey and hummus arrived with cleaner reputations. Still, the ritual hums. Sunday night at the counter, grinder clamped to Formica, the satisfying squeak as ribbons of Bologna curl into bowl, mom tasted with a cracker and nodding once. Packed edge to edge on soft bread. It spread like fresh paint and wore those neat fork marks across the top. If you scored the heel slice, sturdier, a little chewier, you could sprint to recess without losing a crumb. Cream cheese and jelly. Cool and quiet, like a snow day in August. The first bite always started with a hush. In the 60s and 70s, cream cheese and jelly felt like secret luxury. No stove, no meat, just a chill brick whipped soft and a spoon of jewel-bright jam. It traveled better than egg or tuna, survived the bus, and made a lunchbox look composed. It slipped out of favor when yogurt cups and string cheese took over the creamy job. Sugar tallies elbowed jam off the roster, and whole grains asked for bolder fillings. But the small theater plays on. The swirl you drew with a butter knife, the way a thin jelly stripe bled pink into the white, the comforting cool against warm cafeteria air. If mom hit the ratio, more cream than sweet. You could eat slowly and still feel like you gotten away with something gentle, precise, and a little grown-up. Peanut butter and banana. Banana moons pressed flat under textbooks. Peanut butter spread to the corners like good engineering. In the 60s and 70s, this was fuel disguised as dessert. Potassium, protein, and a zigzag of honey if there was a game after school. No pan, no plan, just ripe fruit, a knife, and a steady hand to keep slippage from turning math class into a cleanup. It retreated with peanut bans and sticky complaints. Cafeteria steering clear of anything that smeared joy onto desks. Still, the real runs clean. The quiet crush as bread met banana, a thread of honey winking at the cut, the soft, steady chew that made chocolate milk taste bigger. Some kids sliced coins, some laid long planks. Both learned the trick of patting the fruit dry, so the bread wouldn't surrender. Call it messy if you want. Back then, it was the kind of mess that won you recess. Cream cheese and cucumber. Cold as a drinking fountain, crisp as new notebook paper. In the 60s and 70s, this was recess air conditioning between bread. Cream cheese whipped soft, cucumber sliced thin enough to see the lunch bell through, a pinch of dill that smelled like the teacher who grew herbs on her windowsill. Garden math made it make sense. Backyard vines meant free filling, no stove, no mess. It thinned out when prep time got counted. Waterlogged slices made whole grain bread sulk, and food safety memos side-eyed anything that wept. Still, the choreography lingers. Pat the cucumbers dry on a paper towel. Swipe of salt to wake them up. Spread the cream cheese to the edges so the discs stay put. Peel on if you wanted bite. Off if you wanted smooth. Bite and the cool rush at first, then dill's quiet whisper. For 5 clean mouthfuls, the cafeteria felt like shade. Spam and mayo on white. Salty sweet thunder in a quiet lunchroom. Post-war cupboards made a promise in the 60s and 70s. 1 can of spam, many sandwiches. Some homes slice it cold and neat. Some pan-crisp coins on Saturday. So weekday bread, met edges curled like little petals. Mayo did the glue work. Mustard if you needed spark. White bread the soft stage it deserved. It got sidelined when sodium turned into a headline. Processed landed on wellness posters, and turkey cutlets plus low-fat spreads auditioned for every role. But memory keeps the soundtrack. The tiny metal key rolling back the lid with a tinny sigh. The jelly gloss you rinsed off in the sink. The first bite where smoked pork and mayo met, and the whole table went quiet for exactly 2 chews. If you packed the heel slice for structure, you could race to kickball without losing crumb, and smell faintly heroic doing it. Hot turkey and gravy. Steam fogged your glasses before the first forkful. In the 60s and 70s, this was cafeteria hospitality. 1 slice of bread laid down like a raft. Turkey fan on top, a ladle of brown gravy turning lunch into weather. Batchable on steam tables, cheap on budgets. Soothing on contact. The kind of sandwich that needed a fork and a quiet minute. It disappeared as gravy went from scratch to packet to gone, time and temp logs boss a line, and fruit cups replaced the warm pause in the middle of Wednesday. But the picture stays. Bread turning tender at the edges, pepper freckles on the surface. That silent test. Does the slice hold or surrender and become a delicious flood? If you got the corner with extra gravy puddled like a small lake, you tore off pieces and built a dam, engineer and diner at once, until the bell broke the spell. Salisbury steak on a roll. TV dinner comfort, lunchroom edition. The patty wore grill marks like a borrowed suit. In the 60s and 70s, Salisbury steak solved 3 problems at once. Commodity beef shaped to behave, gravy to keep it from giving a roll to make it portable. Line cooks could move it fast. Kids recognized it from weeknight trays at home. It waned when lean mandates trimmed the fat and the joy. Speed ovens replaced searing, and ultra-processed started living on clipboards. Still, you remember the balance of bun, the savory steam lifting like a curtain, the onion note that hinted at someone actually caring. The first bite was always a negotiation. How much gravy would the roll agree to hold before diplomacy failed? If you parked a pickle coin under the lid for acid, suddenly the whole thing stood up straight, and social studies felt survivable for exactly 4 more bites. BBQ Rib Patty on a bun. The day the line doubled, you didn't ask why. You could smell the answer. A rib-shaped mystery patty, lacquered in sweet smoke, slid onto a soft bun, and turned Tuesday into a minor holiday. In the 70s, it made perfect sense. Heat and serve, budget-friendly, guaranteed clean trays. Steam table lids clattered, napkins vanished, and someone always tried to drag a second pass of sauce across the tray like a signature. It lost favor when sugar and sodium got scoreboards, process took the mic, and the ovens that made it glossy got replaced by speed and spreadsheets. But the real won't quit. Sauce pooling in the corner like a red coin, bun surrendering at the hinge. That first bite where sweet tang and a little peppered smoke told you the next 7 minutes belonged to you. If you tucked the pickle coin under the lid, balance snapped into place. And for 4 bites, the world behaved. Peanut butter and pickles. A trader's handshake, learned on the blacktop. Creamy weight meeting briny snap. In the 60s and 70s, PB and pickles was pantry algebra, 2 cheap staples colliding into new. Dill brought the cut. Peanut butter brought the calm. Sometimes a sweet pickle slid things toward dessert. It packed fast, needed no stove, and made you interesting at the trading table. It receded with peanut bands and the modern side-eye at weird. Cafeteria's allergic to anything that could drip brine onto worksheets. Still, the sound is there. Ripple-cut teeth meeting the spread's hush, a little vinegar waking up the corners, the bread holding steady because somebody patted those slices dry. If you lined the pickles edge to edge, every bite clicked like a metronome. Stacked them in the center and you got a final act crunch that felt like applause. Odd now? Back then, it was the password for recess. Butter and sugar sandwich. Recess wasn't over until the crystals popped. Tiny fireworks between your teeth. In the 60s and 70s, this was dessert you could afford. Butter softened on the counter. Spread to the edges on soft white. A rain of sugar, or cinnamon sugar if someone kept a shaker. Pressed in with the back of a spoon until it glittered. No stove, no timer, just a diagonal cut that turned it ceremonial. Some kids toasted for a half-melt, half-crunch effect. Most didn't, and the paper bag wore a faint star of butter by lunchtime. It slipped away when added sugar became a scoreboard. Whole grain loaves asked for sturdier partners. And snack bars plus fruit cups took the sweet slot. But the ritual won't leave. The warm knife sliding smooth. The little dune of cinnamon pooling at the fold. The way the first bite sent a quiet hush through a noisy table. 5 chews later, math felt possible again. They weren't gourmet. They were solutions to time, money, and kids with big afternoons ahead. They faded, but the taste print stayed. Drop the one you bring back for a day. PB and pickles, pizza burger, or the barbecue rib patty. And tell us what your lunchroom smelled like when the bell rang. New memories next week. Subscribe.